Welcome back. Let's turn our attention to legal matters. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has fixed April 24th for its ruling on the final forfeiture of two properties belonging to the former president of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, is seeking the final forfeiture of the federal government to the federal government of Dr. Saraki's properties situated at 17 and 17A MacDonald Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. Counsel to the applicant Nemeka Omewa told Justice Muhammad Liman that the properties were acquired with a loan obtained from Guarantee Trust Bank and paid back using money suspectedly diverted from the coffers of the Kwara state government. The council specifically said that there are written statements from some officials of the Kwara state government on how the money was taken from the coffers of the state government and used to pay back the loan. The former Senate president, through his counsel, Kehinde Ogumuyiwuju, however, asked the court to reject the application of the EFCC, arguing that the EFCC has not been able to prove that the money used to pay back the loan was acquired illegally. A Nigerian male who traveled to France returned to Lagos 3 days ago. There are 3 suspected cases of the novel COVID-19 virus now being tested at the Lagos Isolation Center, one from France, another from England, and the last suspected case is from China. Earlier in the day, a Nigerian male who traveled to France and returned to Lagos 3 days ago was the first to be put in isolation. He had come down with a headache and was reported to the center where he's currently being tested for the novel coronavirus. The Lagos State Commissioner says results of the tests are expected in a few hours. Meanwhile, all but 2 contacts of the 44-year-old Italian case that tested positive about a week ago have been found. Authorities are furnishing the WHO with information about the contacts. The next case himself, who is set to be on the mend, was however given some psychosocial support to improve his sagging spirits. It's not clear yet when he will be released. As the novel coronavirus enters its 3rd month in 2020, health authorities in Nigeria are strengthening measures to contain the spread of the disease after recording the first and only case in Lagos. Many states across the country are also stepping up measures, setting up isolation centers and training personnel in collaboration with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to combat the virus.
If you Google the word coronavirus, over 2 billion results will pop up in under a second, making it arguably the most talked about disease in the world right now, causing panic and threatening the global economy. February 27, 2020, Nigeria recorded its first and only case of COVID-19 in Lagos after an Italian working in the country tested positive to the virus following his return from Milan, Italy, one of the worst-hit countries outside of China. The federal government has been strengthening measures to ensure an outbreak in Nigeria is controlled and contained quickly. At this roundtable with stakeholders in Lafia and Nasarawa State, the government highlights some precautionary measures put in place in the event of any case of the coronavirus.
We have intensified our surveillance and also notification, especially some visitors from all affected areas, and for some of us who also have visited affected areas, and others who must have our contacts or source circumstances for them to know that this is real.
In Edo State, the management at the Rural Specialist Teaching Hospital, one of the federal government's designated diagnostic centers for the coronavirus disease, and the State Ministry of Health are working closely in order to check any possible case.
Fear and panic need not be the order of the day. To be candid, it's one confirmed case we have in Nigeria. And what needs to be done, which is being done now, is surveillance.
Meanwhile, resident doctors are raising concerns over the lack of protective equipment for its members who are at the forefront of combating outbreaks of infectious diseases across the country.
With the recent outbreak of diseases in the country, one would have hoped that protecting the healthcare workers' welfare and, most importantly, well-being will be given the utmost consideration and attention.
Globally, over 90,000 infections have been recorded with about 3,000 deaths. Health experts advise that regular washing of hands with soap and water or use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers and maintaining good respiratory hygiene, among others, are key to preventing the spread of COVID-19.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has ordered all airlines operating international and regional flights into Nigeria to issue health declaration forms to their passengers and crew before arriving in the country's airports. The airlines are expected to remind passengers to provide factual addresses and phone numbers to enhance contact tracing in case the need arises. The health declaration forms, also known as passengers' self-reporting forms, will be collected and evaluated by the personnel of Port Health Services on arrival. Let's check in on Bisi Adebayo now with some business news.
Welcome to Business News. The House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Finance to investigate the alleged $30 billion annual revenue leakages arising from tax evasion and misuse and diversion of foreign exchange allocations by companies and other entities. The decision to launch a probe follows a motion of urgent national importance by the Chairman, House Committee on Finance, James Faleke, to rescue the country from revenue leakages. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries has agreed to cut oil output by an extra 1.5 million barrels per day in the second quarter of 2020 to support prices that have been hit by the coronavirus outbreak. But this decision is still subject to approval by non-OPEC leader Russia. The 14-member group, led by Saudi Arabia, agreed on the massive supply cut today at its meeting in Vienna, Austria. The group is expected to review this policy at its next meeting on June the 9th. A leading global provider of phosphate and its derivatives, OCP Africa, has entered into a tripartite agreement with the 3 research institutes in Nigeria for the development of crops and soil-specific fertilizers for tomatoes and palm oil crops. At the signing ceremony in Abuja, the managing director of OCP Africa Fertilizers Limited, Mohammed Hetiti, explains that this is geared towards improving farmers' productivity.
OCP Africa is a subsidiary of OCP Group, a global leader in phosphate production and its derivatives with almost 100 years of experience. The group was established in 2016 to work hand-in-hand with African farmers and with the objective of unlocking Africa's vast agricultural potential. Little wonder the company is signing an agreement with the 3 research institutes in the country, namely the Nigeria Institute of Oil Palm Research, Institute for Agricultural Research and Training, and the Institute for Horticultural Research.
OCP Nigeria is acting to bring specific response to Nigerian agriculture challenges and provide impactful and sustainable solution to Nigerian food system.
The Deputy Managing Director of OCP Nigeria gives an insight on how much the company has invested on research between 2016 to date.
Over the years, we have invested a lot significantly, about $1.2 million from 2016 till today, on research in fertilizers in Nigeria. And this cuts across crops like maize, cocoa, rice, oil palm that we're doing today, tomato, sorghum, soya bean, Irish potato. We hope that with the conclusion of these, with the kind of fertilizer that we produce out of these, our farmers will be better positioned.
Heads of the research institute speak on the prospects for Nigerian farmers following the partnership.
And this project we plan to execute in collaboration with IR&T and OCP Africa. We'll be able to first determine and do a soil mapping of the nutrients available in the oil palm belt.
This agreement is not only significant, it's not only a significant milestone in the 3 national institutions' ongoing collaboration, but also a significant milestone in the country research alignment with the APP.
The agreement is expected to boost agricultural production in the country.
It's a third consecutive day of positive trading at the Nigerian stock market as the all-share index closed marginally higher today by 0.04%. Ekaite Afia has the rest of today's figures.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The Nigerian stock market continued on its positive trend as the market closed Thursday's session marginally higher by 0.04% at 26,426.20. Just like in previous trading sessions, the banking index led gains today as the 1.80% increase on that counter offset huge losses from the consumer goods sector. Now, the total turnover of 431.91 million shares worth 7.82 billion naira changed hands in over 4,500 deals. On the list of top trades are Red Star Express, UBA, and Zenith Bank. ICT firm Chams PLC led 22 gainers by 10%, while GlaxoSmithKline led 10 other losers by 9.52%. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Ekaite Afia.
Many thanks, Ekaite. Meanwhile, stocks on Wall Street plunged today, erasing most of the gains in the previous session as markets remain highly volatile in the face of the fast-spreading coronavirus. Here are some of today's numbers. And that's it on Business News. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks, Bissy. The Development Bank of Nigeria is marking the 2020 International Women's Day with a conversation on accelerating parity through collective individualism. The managing director of the bank, Mr. Tony Okpanachi, says women are strategic to the economic development of the country. He was speaking at the inaugural dialogue in Abuja.
It's the inaugural edition of the International Women's Day Dialogue, put together by the Development Bank of Nigeria. Women from all walks of life gathered to deliberate on sustainable ways to force parity through collective individualism.
We recognize that women are important and critical to ensuring the stability, progress, and development of our nation. We believe that for any society to flourish, women must be given equal opportunities, hence the hashtag Each for Equal. To quote Michelle Bachelet, the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, and I'd like you to listen to this quote very well. When women are empowered and can claim their rights and access to land, leadership, opportunities, and choices, economies grow. Food security is enhanced, and prosperity are improved for current and future generations. What else do we need?
You're a CEO. A panel of discussants, drawn from several sectors of the economy, discusses the challenges women face in workplaces, family life, as well as the society at large. The bank is promising to come up with more products that support women initiatives.
Looking at one of the SDGs, which is gender equality, and also speaking to the fact that the gender gap is very real. I mean, there's a lot of research out there, but what we've been told recently is that it will take 108 years at current run rates to close the gender gap. And we see the gap in health, in education, in legal rights, rights across the board. And as a development bank, we strongly look at that SDG in particular. Happy to announce that our loans, the majority of our loans have been to women entrepreneurs, about 52%.
The bank is hoping that this conversation will inspire women to brace the odds in any endeavor they are engaged in.
Still ahead on the news at 10, California declares a state of emergency after announcing its first coronavirus death. And more from our London bureau in Around the World in 5. Stay with us.